Hey, Bethany, is this mic on? I'm talking to you. Hey, I love this new MDD stuff you've got going on, managing dental dummies. So I'm really grateful you've got this digest that can help all of us and get us through the weeds and out on the other side, ahead and forging forward. Managing dental drama and dummies. Sign up today.
Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started. Hello, Managing Dental Drama community. I cannot believe that we are at the end of 2024. So happy early new year to you guys. I hope you guys had a great holiday over this last week. I am ringing in the end of this year with our annual top 10 for year end. And so I have put together a list of 10 things that I would encourage you to do as you near the end of this year. You've got hopefully a couple more days of relaxation ahead of you. And if you don't, then you definitely need to make time to tackle these top 10 suggestions. So I'm going to dive right in, and I will warn you that the first three may not sound like the most fun things to do, but they're absolutely essential in my mind. So stick with me. Don't leave me in the first three if you feel like it sounds really boring. I think that these things are all important, and I wanted to start with very first is scrutinizing your credit card receipts. So the first thing is taking a deeper look at your credit card expenses. Now, at first glance, you may think, that sounds stupid. Or maybe you glance over your credit card receipts on a monthly basis. That's great. But I want you to actually look deeply into a few credit card receipts. Even if you do a once over, it is important to look at each and every expense, and you're really asking yourself, do I still need this? Maybe it's a monthly subscription. I do this every few months with my husband. He looks over the credit card receipts for the business every month, and then every few months we will sit down and I'll say, okay, let's go through every line item and make sure that it's something that we still need. So it could be a subscription. It could be something that you realize that you're paying for that maybe there's a way to cut that out. That could be something as simple as at the office, you're paying for both Netflix and Hulu. Could you just go with Netflix? Or could you do some type of package deal and rework that so that it makes more sense on a monthly basis? Maybe you're paying for window washing that occurs a few times a month and you realize that your windows look sparkly clean all the time. Maybe you could cut that back to a couple times a month. It could be that you're paying the same amount to your lawn crew, even though they don't work in the months of November, December, January. Maybe you can cut that back. So it's not just looking at recurring charges, it's also looking at, do I still need this particular service item? Sometimes what you will find is that you're surprised that a charge came through on your credit card. It was either something that you did not authorize or something that you thought you had already canceled, but that payment or that charge is still coming through. So it's illuminating almost every time you do it. We do it quarterly with myself and my husband, and every time I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't realize that was still coming through. So I think at the end of the year, if you haven't deeply scrutinized your credit cards receipts, pick a couple, 2 or 3 from this year and just go through. I would recommend the more recent ones. Don't necessarily feel like you have to go back to January of 2024, but maybe you look at September, October, November and do a deep dive into those. If nothing else, pick one of them and at least look and ask yourself questions. You can actually have the paper copy in hand and highlight certain things that you want to look further into, or you can electronically keep track of things that you just have further questions about. And if you've got business team members that utilize their own business card or they utilize your business card, then you may have questions for them as well. So that's step number one. Doesn't sound fun, but just trust me, it's going to be worth your time. Number two is similar but slightly different. So not all of our expenses come through credit cards. We still have plenty of expenses that go out in other ways. So I surely hope that you have a great CPA that you utilize to help track expenses. It is worth taking time to scrutinize all expenses, looking at things as simple as, what does my utility bill look like? Is there any way to reduce that? What does my rent look like? I know that oftentimes that is immovable, but is there anything that we can do to possibly look at that rental rate again? Or do I have my lease negotiation coming up? Do I need to start thinking about that? You could look at things like your dental supplies, your lab expenses, your marketing. What are you spending in each of those categories? And does that expense need to go up or come down? And you might be wondering, why would something go up? Well, something like marketing might need to go up. As you think about your goals and dreams for 2025, if you're only spending a couple $100s a month in marketing, that may be an area where you need to notch up the spending. And if so, you may need to notch down the spending in another category. Something like eating out, team lunches, which I know are fun and exciting, but maybe you can cut back slightly in your eating out expense. Or maybe if you run some of your vehicle expenses through the business, maybe you're realizing that your car insurance has gone up and you're wondering, when did that happen and what can I do about that? Is it time to reevaluate how much I'm spending on insurance? So take time over these next few weeks to really deep dive into your expenses. And that could be just a report that you're going through from your CPA. Oftentimes they'll send you an expense report or a profit and loss report, and you can go through that in great detail. If you do your own books, then that's just going back through all of your expenses and really evaluating where there might be some saving possibilities. To me, this is such a valuable thing to do, at least on an annual basis. Number 3 is going to be one final deep dive into some lovely murky waters, which is I would encourage you to take time deep diving into your clinical and business documentation. I know this makes everybody grumble and you just want to stop listening right now, but hear me out on this. Oftentimes, I think that practice owners or team members, so this is not just for practice owners, this is also for team members, that we just move along with the assumption that our documentation is good. And I think that is a very scary assumption. To me, we need to ensure that our documentation is good. Now, you may have some light auditing throughout the month. You may even do some deep auditing throughout the month. But use this end of year, beginning of year transition to just select a handful of charts. I'll say a double handful, like 10 or 12 charts that you look through. Look through the clinical note. Does it make sense? Is everything there? Are there good ledger notes? If somebody were to log in and try to figure out a patient's balance, could they do so with the documentation that's in the ledger? What about communication notes, whether that's ComLog or any kind of office journal that your software has? Do we have a track record of when we've contacted this patient? Have we made good notes of those conversations? Documentation is critical, guys. I can't tell you how many times people get in trouble because of poor documentation. And if we're just blindly assuming that everything is okay, that is a risk that I would encourage you not to take. It is a really good time to do a deep dive into your documentation and make sure that things are up to par, or in my recommendation, above par. I want you looking really squeaky clean on documentation. And I will do a shameless plug here. One of the things that Dr. Kuba and I put together several years ago, because we saw this being such a weakness in practices, is we do have a fantastic chart audit program where Dr. Kuba and another doctor on our team, Dr. Kavitha, they actually log in remotely and they do their own deep dive into your charts and give you a scorecard that shows where your areas of weakness may be and their suggestions for correcting those weaknesses. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that. If this makes your stomach grumble, contact us and let us do the dirty work for you so that we can let you know where you need work. Step number 4, or tip number 4, is going to be you need to revisit your fee schedule. If you're a client of mine, you know that I've been hounding you on this month and making recommendations for you. If you don't have a consultant or coach, you need to take a look at your fee schedule and make sure that your fee schedule is on par for your particular area. If you haven't raised your fees in a year or two, there's a high likelihood that you're behind the times and you need to do a fee increase. So take a minute to look at your fees, compare it against competitors in your area. There's plenty of programs out there that will do a zip code analysis for you. Take the time to do that and adjust your fees accordingly. Tip number 5 is going to be to take time and evaluate your insurance contracts. This should go hand in hand with evaluating your fee schedule analysis. You should also be looking at your insurance contracts. Who is short paying you? If your fee for a pro fee is $100, then go through each contract that you have with your insurance companies, the various insurance companies, and see what they're paying. Delta might be paying you $50 on your $100 pro fee. MetLife might be paying you $56. Aetna might be paying you $42. When's the last time that you've really looked at those insurance contracts? And then when you decide who is the lowest paying, figure out if there's something that you can do with those contracts. That may be attempting to renegotiate with them to get a higher fee schedule. That may be deciding to drop some of the low paying ones. Again, you got to be cautious with either of those, but if you've got contracts with insurance companies, there is a high chance that they need to be evaluated and you need to make decisions on what you're going to do with those contracts going forward. So don't just blindly move into 2025 assuming that your insurance contracts are going to stay the same. Most of the time there needs to be some type of edit, and now is the time to decide what those edits are going to be. So that was tip number 5. Tip number 6 is, to me, a fun one. This is what I do all day, every day, and it's super fun for me. I think it will be fun for you. I want you to find for 2024 your highest production month. So what was your standout, knockdown, drag out, amazing month of 2024? And then I also want you to find your sad month. What was the month that was just low, low, low? Now, if one of those low months that you find was a month that you were out of town for 10 days in that month, eliminate that. Find a month that you were there and it was low. So you're looking for your highest producing month and your lowest producing month. And then take some time to find the trends that exist in each of those months. What was it about your high producing month that made it so stand out? Was it that you had 100 new patients that month? Was it that you had a really big case that put you over the top? Was it that you just saw more patients in that particular month? Or maybe you saw more cash paying patients in that particular month. And then on the flip side, you want to look at your low producing month and what was it that made it so low producing. Once you establish the trends in both the high and the low month, it gives you a framework for putting into your goals for 2025 what you need to do to actually achieve higher producing months and what you need to avoid to avoid producing the low producing months. So have fun with that and deep dive into it. Really look at all of the numbers to see what it was that made those months both high and low. Number 7 is I want you to then set your financial goals for 2025. This sounds basic, but I can't tell you how many times I talk with a client who hasn't done this or doesn't know how to do this. So when you look at your high and low months, you can then determine what is possible for 2025. That may be that for 2025, you want to hit your high month every month. Okay, well, there is your financial goal for 2025. Maybe when you've looked at the trends of your high month for 2024, you may realize that that is not replicatable every month. That's fine. What is achievable? Maybe you did have a $10,000 case that pushed you over the edge for that particular month. Well, if you take out that $10,000 case on your really high producing month, is that a goal, a monthly goal, that would then get you to a good annual amount? So set your goals and make it set in stone that that's what you want to achieve for 2025. So set your financial goals. You can start that from a year standpoint, or you can start that from a monthly standpoint. You may say, hey, if I did my highest producing month every month, well, then my annual goal for 2025 would be fill in the blank. Or it could be monthly. You're like, hey, we are making some changes with insurance plans that take effect in April, so I know that my monthly goal can go up in April. So maybe I've got a lower monthly goal in January, February, March, but April, when we're officially out of network with Delta, I'm actually going to increase that by 10% or 12%, whatever you want to do. So set a course for your financial goals for 2025. And again, document those and make those really clear. The next thing that I would want you to do, which is, I don't even know what number I'm on anymore, but establish your either new or revised bonus plan for 2025. Now, if you're a practice that doesn't have a bonus plan, that's okay. I would encourage you to still figure out how you want to entice your teammates or your team to achieve the goals that have been set before you. So that may not be an actual bonus plan where there's some type of reward at the end of earning that, but you need to figure out how it's going to be exciting and enticing. Could that be something as simple as you've got this beautiful thermometer goal sheet in your break room and you're just tracking how you're doing to hit your monthly goal? So you put your big monthly goal at the top and you guys are tracking that on a daily basis. Could it be something as simple as at the end of the month, when we hit that bonus, we're going to do team potluck together. And we're going to have an extended lunch to be able to do team potluck together. So there can still be goals, and it doesn't necessarily have to include an official bonus. Now, if you're a practice and a team that has a bonus plan, then you need to figure out, did that work for us in 2024? And do we want to keep the existing structure of that bonus plan? Or do we want to edit and revise it so that it is exciting once again in 2025? I will say most times when you've had a bonus plan, the same bonus plan in place for a 3 or 4 year period of time, sometimes you need to do something to spice it up. You might still be able to keep the same structure, but maybe you throw in something extra on top, or maybe it's simply making the financial earning amount higher in the third month or the third month of that quarter. So there's some things you can still do to spice it up, but you need to take a hard look at your bonus plan for 2025 and make sure that there are no changes you wish to make to that bonus plan. The next thing that I would encourage you to do is to take some time to decide for yourself and for your team, how are we going to develop ourselves in 2025. So not only do we want the practice hitting these great goals that we've set, not only are we going to be better at controlling expenses, we're going to be better at documentation, all these things that we've talked about, but how are we going to professionally develop ourselves in 2025? Again, if for those of you who have worked with me, you know this is a soapbox. To me, the dental profession is a high calling. It is a healthcare profession that requires us to be our best. And if we are not putting effort into being our best, then to me, we are doing a disservice to the dental profession. So we need to take some time to decide, what are we personally doing to enhance our professionalism in 2025? Does that mean that we have a list of books that we're planning to read? Do we have podcasts that we have lined up for 2025? Do we have some conferences that we're going to? Sharpening our skills requires effort. We're not just going to show up to work, do the same old thing every day, day in, day out, and somehow get sharper in the process. Becoming a sharper, better professional requires effort. And so you need to decide now what you're going to be doing in 2025 to become a sharper professional, a better professional. So you need to figure that out. Now, I'll do another shameless plug here and say that Dr. Kuba and I have put so much time and energy and effort into providing you with resources to become a better professional. We have both our consulting crash course, which is a phenomenal, one of a kind, this is not done anywhere else, course where you can bring your team to the Dallas area, spend 2 entire days with myself and Dr. Kuba, and we are going to be looking through every aspect of your practice and professional career, and we are going to be looking at how you can sharpen your skills as a professional and as a team, and how you can have a fantastic game plan for becoming a fantastic practice and team. So we've got the crash course and we've got the subscription, which is so inexpensive, so simple to subscribe and to have each month inspiration and practical steps to take to become a better professional. So whether it's a consulting crash course, the Managing Dental Drama subscription, or whatever else you decide to do, I don't care what it is, but do something to sharpen your skills in 2025. Last tip, I want you to take some time before this year comes to an end to just stop and count your blessings. We don't do this enough, especially as we move into the hustle and bustle of 2025. We are notoriously terrible at finding things that we're thankful for. So I want you to stop as this year, 2024, comes to a close. Just pause, count your blessings. See how far you can get. I'm not even going to put a limit to it. I'm going to say that you should at least be able to come up with 50, 60, 70 things that you're thankful for in 2024. Even if 2024 was hard, take the time to stop and count your blessings. The fact that you're listening to this podcast right now means that you have ears with which to listen. Be grateful. You've got a device with which you're listening on. Be grateful. You've got a career that, yes, can be hard at times, but you've got a career that earns you a wage and earns you a way to live. Be grateful. Find things to be grateful for as this year comes to a close. And I find that if you will do that, I hope that it will propel you into 2025 with a heart of gratitude. And we can do so much in 2025 if we have a good starting point, which is that of gratitude and contentment. And yes, contentment is not settling for where we are. It's just being grateful for where we're at and grateful for where we're going to get to go in 2025. So I hope you'll take these top 10 tips. These are my tips for you. Do each of them. Don't sidestep any of them. Step into each of these top 10 tips and do them. It may not happen overnight. It may not happen in the next few days, but over the course of the next couple weeks, take time to do these top 10 tips and let us know if we can help you with any of them. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.